There's a farmer somewhere right now reading the sky the way you read a text message, not checking a weather app, not pulling up a radar, just standing in the yard at 4:30 in the morning, coffee in hand, watching how the clouds sit and deciding whether today is the day they cut hay or whether the whole week's plan just changed. Nobody taught them that in a classroom. Nobody wrote it down. But if you ask any farm worker who's been at it long enough, they'll tell you the job runs on a set of rules that don't exist in any manual, and breaking them costs more than money. So what are these rules? And why does every single person who works the land seem to know them by heart? To understand that, you have to understand what farming actually looks like from the inside. Because the version you see on social media, the golden hour tractor shots and the freshly painted barns, that's a highlight reel. The real thing starts in the dark. Dairy farmers are up before 4 in the morning, 365 days a year. Not because they want to be, but because cows don't care about weekends. They don't care about holidays. They need to be milked at the same times every single day. And if you're late, they'll let you know about it and your production will suffer for a week. That consistency is the first unwritten rule. The animals set the schedule, not you. You work around their biology, their rhythms, their needs. The moment you think you're in charge is the moment things start falling apart. But it goes deeper than just showing up on time. Every farm worker learns early that you never walk behind a horse you haven't spoken to first. You never approach a bull from his blind spot. You don't run near livestock. You move slowly, you talk in a low voice, and you let the animal know you're there before you're close enough for it to matter. These aren't suggestions, they're survival habits, and the people who ignore them tend to learn the hard way. Farm injuries happen fast, and they happen quietly. One kick from a spooked cow can shatter a kneecap. One wrong step near a PTO shaft can change your life in a second. That's why there's another rule nobody talks about, but everybody follows. You maintain your equipment like your life depends on it, because it does. A combine that hasn't been greased on schedule, a tractor with bald tyres on a hillside, a frayed belt that you told yourself you'd replace next week. Farm workers know that next week is how people get hurt, so the machine gets checked before the sun comes up every morning, without exception. And then there's the weather. Farming is the only job where your entire year's income depends on something completely outside your control. You can do everything right, plant at the perfect time, rotate your crops, manage your soil, but one late frost or one stretch of flooding rain and it's gone. Months of work wiped out in a few days. That reality teaches farm workers something that outsiders almost never understand. You don't celebrate early. You don't count your yield until it's in the bin. There's actually an old saying about not counting your chickens before they hatch, and it literally comes from people who raised chickens and watched eggs fail to hatch after weeks of careful tending. That phrase wasn't a cute metaphor, it was a warning. This is why farmers don't talk about money. And I mean, they really don't. How much land they own, how much they pay in rent, what they made last year. Bringing any of that up is considered a serious breach of trust in rural communities. Partly because the numbers are unpredictable, and partly because a neighbour finding out what you pay in rent could cost you that lease next season. In farming, loose talk has real financial consequences. But here's where it gets interesting. Despite all of that, the unwritten rules aren't just about self-preservation. A lot of them are about community. If your neighbour's combine breaks down during harvest and you're done with yours, you go help. You don't wait to be asked, you just show up. If someone's fence comes down and their cattle get out, you help round them up, even if it's 2 in the morning, and even if you and that neighbour haven't spoken in 6 months. The work comes first, personal stuff comes second. There's a reason for this, and it isn't just small town niceness. Farming is one of the few jobs left where your survival genuinely depends on the people around you. You can't harvest 1,000 acres alone. You can't pull a tractor out of a ditch by yourself. And when a storm is coming and you've got 3 fields left to cut, you need hands. And the only hands available belong to the guy down the road. So you wave. Every time you pass someone on a rural road, you wave. Sounds small, but it matters. That wave says, I see you, I know you're out here doing the same thing I am, and if you need me, I'll be there. Farm workers who don't wave get noticed, and not in a good way. Then there are the quieter rules, the ones about the land itself. You don't farm soil that's too wet because you'll compact it and ruin the structure for years. You rotate your crops because planting corn in the same field every season drains the nutrients and invites disease. You leave a buffer strip along the creek because the runoff matters, even if nobody's checking. Good farmers do these things not because there's a regulation forcing them to, but because the land remembers. Treat it badly for a few seasons and it'll take a decade to recover. Older farmers will tell you that the land doesn't belong to you. You're just borrowing it. You're passing it through to whoever comes next, whether that's your kids or a stranger. And your job while you have it is to leave the soil better than you found it. That idea doesn't show up in any contract. It doesn't get enforced by any agency. But if you talk to farm workers across the country, across different crops and climates and generations, they'll all say some version of the same thing. The land was here before you, it'll be here after you. Act like it. And maybe that's the biggest unwritten rule of all. Farming teaches people that they're part of something larger than themselves. The food on your plate this morning started in somebody's field, touched by hands that were already working before you woke up, guided by knowledge that was passed down at kitchen tables, not in textbooks. The next time you drive past a tractor going 15 miles an hour on a back road and you feel that flash of frustration, remember that the person behind the wheel probably started their day 6 hours before you did. They're keeping the whole thing running. And they didn't learn how from a manual. If you want to see how these same kinds of invisible rules shape another industry that looks simple from the outside but isn't, that video is on screen right now.